Charles Cross and Robert Paul were on their way to early jobs in London's Whitechapel district when they passed through Bucks Row at 3:40 a.m. on August 31, 1888. Despite the early morning darkness, both men saw a woman lying on the nearby pavement with her skirt pushed up. Frightened, they hurried on to nearby Hanbury Street, where they found a police constable and reported their discovery. Officers rushed to the scene and confirmed that the woman was dead, her throat slashed. Further examination at the local morgue revealed multiple stabs and slashes to her lower body. Detectives soon identified the victim as Mary Ann Nichols, a 43-year-old prostitute whose record included 8 terms of confinement to public workhouses since 1880. Friends knew her as Polly, a down-and-out dweller of London's East End, who somehow maintained her good humor despite heavy drinking and chronic poverty. The murder of a prostitute was nothing new to London journalists or the police at Scotland Yard. Whitechapel was a filthy, overcrowded slum where life was cheap and violent crime an everyday event. In fact, detectives already had 2 unsolved streetwalker slayings on file for 1888. Emma Smith had been stabbed by a gang of 4 or 5 men on April 2nd, living long enough to describe her attackers, while Martha Tabram suffered 39 knife wounds from an unknown killer on August 7th. Although Tabram was able to tell police she had been attacked by multiple assailants before she died, some authors and researchers debate to this day whether or not she was a victim of Jack the Ripper. Neither crime resembled the Nichols murder, however, and police had to wait for further slayings to reveal a pattern. I love my work. The next came at 6 a.m. on September 8th, when officers found 47-year-old Annie Chapman murdered on Hanbury Street, half a mile from Bucks Row. This time, the vicious mutilations were more obvious, as if the killer hoped to shock authorities and passers-by. The murderer removed 2 rings from Chapman's hand, but left her other belongings, some coins and 2 combs, at her feet. On September 28th, London's Central News Agency received a letter written in red ink, dated 3 days earlier. Its author referred to his hatred of prostitutes, declaring, "I love my work and want to start again." Next time, he wrote, "I shall clip the lady's ears off and sent sick to the police." The letter was signed Jack the Ripper. During the months and years to come, police and reporters received more than 600 letters supposedly written by London's elusive stalker. Experts still cannot agree on how many, if any, of those letters came from the actual killer. Clearly, the letters were written by many different hands, and some were clumsy fakes, while others seemed to offer inside knowledge of the crimes. Several police officers named a London reporter, Tom Bulling, as their prime suspect behind the original Ripper letters, while other notes sent hoaxers to jail. In any case, the killer's nickname and the brutal nature of his crimes guaranteed sensational headlines worldwide. From hell. Jack struck again on September 30th, killing 45-year-old Elizabeth Stride around 1 a.m. off Burner Street. The wagon driver who found Stride's body believed he had frightened the killer away, and her wounds seemed to confirm it. Jack had cut Stride's throat as usual, but left no other marks. 45 minutes later, police found 46-year-old Catherine Eddowes murdered at Mitre Square. Unlike Stride, the morning's second victim had suffered mutilations to her face and lower abdomen. Autopsy reports disclosed that one of her kidneys was missing. Later that morning, while police searched Whitechapel for evidence and witnesses, the Central News Agency received a postcard, signed by Jack the Ripper, briefly describing the double event. Jack had failed to collect any ears, he explained, because number 1 squealed a bit, couldn't finish straight off. On October 16, 1888, a package reached the desk of George Lusk, head of the Whitechapel Vigilance Committee. It contained half of a kidney, with an unsigned note addressed "From Hell," reporting that the author fried and ate the other half. Police surgeons identified the kidney as belonging to an alcoholic woman, infected, like Edow's, with Bright's disease, a condition similar to cirrhosis but affecting the kidneys. But some critics believe the specimen came from a medical school, mailed by hoaxers as a practical joke. October passed without another Ripper killing, while the residents of London gradually relaxed. By November 9th, as the city celebrated Lord Mayor's Day, most Londoners hoped that Jack had given up his hunt for women of the streets. But those hopes were in vain.